Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome back to Coach's Corner, and welcome back to a new high school football season for 2013 for the Robert E. Lee Red Raiders. It all gets going on Friday night on the road as the Red Raiders play Sulphur Springs, and that game will kick off at 7:30. The Red Raiders looking to get revenge after losing an overtime game last year at home to the Wildcats, so it should be an interesting ball game, an entertaining game with a lot of young Red Raiders making their high school debuts under the lights coming up on Friday night. Starting his second season, Red Raider head football coach Darrell Piske is with us. You excited about all this?
Yeah, I'm ready to get going, get the live action going. We've been out there banging on ourselves for a few weeks now, so we're ready to see someone else.
What about just the whole process of getting ready for the season? I mean, you guys went through summer. I know they're voluntary type workouts, but just the conditioning that you've done and all that. I mean, really for the guys in the football program, there really hasn't been much of an off season.
No, really, there's 6 weeks in the summer. You can work them out 4 days a week, non-football stuff, but strength and conditioning type stuff. Then you have 7-on-7 going on, one night a week and tournaments. And so really it's getting where it's pretty much year round for the kids and us. Yeah,
I know school starts today as we tape the shows the 26th. And for a lot of these kids, and again, this is one of the great things about participating in extracurricular is, it may be the first day of school for a lot of these young people, but for the football players, the band members, the girls who play volleyball, I mean, this is just kind of a continuation of what they've been doing for a long time.
Yeah, the cross-country kids,
right.
All those guys, they've been up there, and gals, they've been up there since, August 12th, some of them a week before that, so they've been pretty busy.
Yeah, the discipline, though, that it takes, I mean, that's part of really what you get out of this, too, isn't it?
Yeah, just to sacrifice kids, being willing to handle extra things and do more than the other guys. That's what separates them from the people that don't participate in extracurriculars.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about how young your team's going to be this year. As I look at your depth chart, I mean, we're looking at maybe as many as 4 10th graders starting on Friday night.
Yeah, maybe up to 6. It's going to depend on a few things this week, on our staff meetings and stuff. But yeah, we're going to be pretty young, which, that's not a bad thing. I'm gonna probably pull my hair out some. They're gonna get me really excited. Well, yeah, they're going. That's where these bags are coming from. They're gonna do good things, but they're gonna make young mistakes and that kind of thing. So we've got to accept it and just know that they're the best one in that position, or we wouldn't have them starting.
Well, we'll talk about some of these guys as we go along, but particularly at the quarterback position, where there will be a sophomore starter on Friday night. But there will also changes on your coaching staff this summer. Let's get that out of the way first and talk about the new faces.
Yeah, I might should have wrote all that down. We got Coach Kerbo taking over on the defense coordinator. Coach Anderson went back to Waco Midway. Then we got Richard Strickland will be coaching the safeties. He comes to us from Henderson. And then we have a kid named John Hoosier that I actually coached in high school, and he was at Somerville last year, so was lucky to get him. On the offensive side, we got Coach Jernigan. Ken Jernigan comes to us from Sul Ross University. He's taking Coach Elgin Johnson's place. Elgin's going in administration. He's crossed over to the dark side now, I told him. But then we also have Coach Randy Barnes, been a head football coach and stuff and was retired. And he and I have known each other, actually competed against each other as head coaches. And he beat me 2 out of 3 times, so I thought we'd just hire him.
Just hire him, right?
So he's coaching quarterbacks. He's been coaching quarterbacks since 1985, so I'm really excited to get him. And I'm sure I've left somebody off, and I'll think about it here in a minute.
Well, we'll get to if you do, just pop in.
Right.
But one thing that's brand new at both Lee and John Tyler this year, both of you have strength coaches for the first time.
Yes, yeah. I've got Richard Compton. Richard's latest place of employment was Texas A&I University, Texas A&M Kingsville now, but he's been with the Rams. He's actually the guy that was with the Rams that started UT back in the 70s, strength and conditioning. He was his mentor, and he's been with him a long time. He's been at Southern Illinois. Really, I'm excited about him, not just from a football standpoint, but on our girls' programs and all that. He actually knows what he's doing to help those.
He's not just a football strength and conditioning guy.
He's doing all programs, boys and girls. And what I like listening to Richard talk to those coaches is he understands how to tailor make it to fit them versus one of us guys doing it. We're just going, hey, we're going to bench and squat and do what we do in football.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and again, this is a first for TISD to make that commitment. And there's just a lot that can be done there. That's really stepping up. There are a number of ways that the district stepped up this year. Your practice field has been redone completely. new turf, new lights. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's going to be big too when we play soccer games over there and sub-varsity games over there. We're going to actually be able to see. I know when we played soccer games over there, we'd be doing a corner kick and I couldn't even see the guy kicking the ball. So that's going to be exciting. It's going to help us when it rains. You know, typically when it's rained, last year we'd have to go in the little old field house, which is about a 20-foot by 20-foot open area that we could go in there and do run hole. So now, as long as it's not lightning, we can get out there on the turf and get after it and get something productive out of it. The band, I know the band's going to use it on Monday nights. After we get off, they're going to practice from 6:30 to 8:30. So really, everybody's going to benefit. Everybody. It was a good move by the school board and TISD.
You're blessed at quarterback in that you have veteran depth. You've got a returning guy who started a lot last year, Raleigh Poster, who at times played very well for you, and then Trevor Carr, a young man who's also an upperclassman. But you've chosen to go with a sophomore, Zach Hall, on Friday night. Talk about that.
Yeah, and that's what I talked to the guys about Saturday. Whatever position it is, you know, we'll have starters. Starters can change, and so the secret to being a good football team or any good athletic team is those guys that aren't starting continue to work their tail off to become the starter. And you know, we're only one play in any sport from being the starter if I'm the backup. So I've got to be ready, but that's a luxury we have, is that those guys are right there close together. The difference, you know, in Zach is, you know, like we were talking about the other night, and you'll see on the highlights, he reads the play, pulls the ball, and goes, I don't know what it was, 50, 60 yards for a touchdown, whereas, you know, the other guys would have gained some positive yards, but he can take it to the house. And so, you know, having that threat with all the other guys is really what separates him a little bit. And
Tavon Wesley, a young sophomore tailback who I know you didn't show him very much because people are scouting your scrimmages, but I know the young man and know what he can do. He has a chance to be a really, really good one.
Yeah, Smiley, and you know, he's there when the weight room opens. You know, every time the weight room's open since I've been here, he's been there, you know, and so he's just going to be special. We didn't hide him. We wasn't hiding him. We just thought we're stupid we get him hurt in the scrimmage, because he's ready, and he'll be ready on Friday night. And, you know, behind him we've got some other kids, Marquand Jones and Juwan Banks we're going to use. He's crossing over defense and offense. And so we've got several, you know, you're going to need 3 or 4 at this level. They're going to get beat up and good, but Smiley's going to be a good one.
Now, it depends on which publications you read, but I did get a kick out of the AP.
Oh,
you saw that, didn't you?
Well,
the Associated Press preseason high school football poll had you guys in the top 20. Did you make those votes?
No, but I'd like to meet those 3 guys that voted for us and sell them something. But you know, yeah, we're not there yet. We're going to get there, but we're a young team, and see where these guys end up, we don't know. But we're definitely not a top 20 football team.
Most everything that I've seen, though, you know, they go off the last 2 years, and the team has been a disappointment the last 2 years. So as you go into this year, flying under the radar, I mean, how would you describe the way you go into this season?
Well, just typically when you see people's response to that AP poll, you know where we go in the season. I mean, everybody thinks it's a joke and that kind of thing. So hopefully our kids, what I told them is, you know, we're picked last in district, and the district coaches pick that. So that's the respect you have. So you're going to have to go out and earn some respect by winning football games. And that's a process everybody goes through when they're like this. Nobody's going to believe it. You know, if they start doing good and start rolling, winning some games, they're still going to doubt, you know, that they're going to do it. But our guys know what we can do and what our goals are, and they're going to work every day to try to reach those goals.
Now, before we look at the Marshall video from the scrimmage on Friday night, talk a little bit about about the scrimmage and what you did on Friday night over at Marshall.
Well, we did, of course, you do some control parts where we go 20 on our first offense and then flip it over and they go 20 with their first offense, and we did that for quite some time. And then once we finished that, we went ahead and we did some kicking just to kind of see our kickers that wasn't live, nobody rushed, but just to see the kickers get out there and kind of put them under a little pressure with everybody watching them. And then we did a running quarter, just did a 12-minute running quarter. I think we each got 2 possessions during that time, because by the time we were planning on doing a half, by the time we got there, Coach had some injuries, and we were relatively healthy, and so we talked about, let's get out of here and get a little live quarter to kind of get some things going, but we don't want to get anybody else hurt on his side, and of course we didn't want to lose any either.
So the scrimmage went down Friday night at Maverick Stadium in Marshall. Had originally been scheduled for Thursday night in Tyler, but was moved for UIL rules to be safe on that to Friday night. So let's roll some tape and take a look at what the Red Raiders and the Marshall Mavericks did Friday night in Marshall. You're in the white uniforms here, though, so we're going to see some offense and some defense, right, Coach?
Yeah, we're on offense right here. This is the O-line, a little highlight on the O-line. I was really proud of the O-line. Of course, Zach pulled it and read it and gained some yardage, but you know, I'm old, but I think with that O-line blocking like that, any of us could have made some yards. And so they really, what I like about our O-line so far, we're going to get better, but if you'll watch them, they're much more physical. You know, they're getting after it, got guys driving guys 10 yards downfield, and so, you know, that's exciting. Coming up right here, I think Zach's read right here. They got Zach, it's a read play here, and he makes the right read. And, of course, there's the difference right there. You see the backside safety, who's a pretty good athlete from Marshall, pretty fast. He doesn't catch him.
Not fast enough,
That's right. And so that's what makes it exciting there, is just having a guy with that kind of speed. But, again, you look at the blocking up front, everybody executed. Look at the push over there by Amir Wilson at left tackle.
And Zach's off to the races. Again, that's sophomore Zach Hall.
Here you got Bryce Parker and Rendon on a double team. They take that old nose guard and kind of put him back in about 15 yards downfield. So they did a great job there getting movement on him.
And this is still Zach, right?
No, that's the two linemen right there, right in the middle, driving that guy about 10 yards downfield. But yeah, Zach's got the football.
Okay, all right. Now you're on defense.
We're on defense. Juwan Banks, junior linebacker. He scrapes off the edge, makes a big play, good tackle. He's going to be pretty good. We're going to have to cross him over right now. We're having to use, you know, some of these guys on offense and defense. That's just part of it. He's going to get better. He hadn't played much linebacker, and we moved him there.
Again, we can see him on offense, too. Yep. He can play tailback.
Here's John Samples, another little sophomore there at defensive end. You know, they highlighted that when he wasn't blocked, so he better make that play. But he did a good job of, you know, coming to balance and making a good tackle right there on the quarterback.
Yeah, you still have to go out and make the play, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. Then we got Amir Wilson. He's at defensive end. Really, this play right here, he does a good job. He just really, Amir's starting both ways right now, and he played tremendous last Friday. So I'm hoping he carries that over to the live competition. He's athletic. He can run. I hope it's on here. There's a play later on. He's on defense, and this is Riley Poster hooking up with Avery Cluess on a little fade route, perfect throw. Cluess makes a good catch. He widened a little bit, supposed to stay on the numbers, but
that was a nice
it worked
throw,
out.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on perfect timing.
Now again, Riley started just about every game last year.
Yeah, him and Diosado battled last year, and that was a good throw. He made a good throw. The receiver kind of put him in a bind there by taking away some of his grass, getting too close to the sidelines. Jared Tatum, another young kid over here at corner. He's going to come up, make a good hit.
Mm-hmm. Now, is he a junior, Tatum, or sophomore?
Tatum's a junior.
Junior.
It's him again, just a different angle. Bryce Wilkerson, little inside receiver, senior. Just throw him a little hitch pass, and he makes something happen. He's pretty quick. He's hard to bring down. Squats over 400 pounds. He's strong for. He's a little mighty mite's what he is. But,
and one of the problems last year, you just didn't get in the ball enough, did you?
That's right. That's right. We tried, and then we got him, you know, stuck him back there at that Wildcat quarterback, and he got a concussion about the second play and was out 3 games. And really, he's going to be a pretty good little playmaker. If he was 6 foot, there'd be people chasing him all over the place. Marquand Jones is that another junior running back. Of course, you got O-line, but he makes a good cut. He's a hard runner. He's quick. Got good vision. Avery Cluess up there at the top maintained his block, and so you know, you'll see those guys, those outside receivers, what we try to get them to understand is you maintain your blocks, those 10, 15-yard gains turn into touchdowns. So Avery comes off up top. You'll see him come off up there and stay locked up, and there's Marquand going around him there.
Good block, good move to the outside.
Yeah, that's right. Marquand has good vision. This is Zach Hall hooking up with DeAndre Allen. Now, this is what gets you excited about Zach. You know he can run like the wind, but when he starts being able to do this kind of stuff and make the right read and make a good, accurate throw, that was a long touchdown pass there to DeAndre Allen. You know, which is some things we couldn't do last year is you know, we didn't have a run threat to put them in a bind, and then we couldn't throw over the top with that run threat. So that's what makes it exciting.
Good pocket presence. Zach hung in there. And
yeah, that's right. And that's what he'll just continue to get better at that. DeAndre did a good job. Brandon Derman, junior inside linebacker, played for us last year. Brandon's going to be pretty good. Makes the right read, gets downhill.
I remember Brandon kind of got tossed in as a sophomore last year, sink or swim, right?
Yes, him and Gaines both,
right.
And then Teddy Matlock at outside linebacker.
Both of them did a good job, really did under adverse conditions.
Yes,
right? Yeah.
Yes. We got Trevor Carr now at quarterback. Again, having three guys, and we're going to have competition all year. Trevor makes the right read, makes a good run here, pick up first down. You know, I told him there that's the point when a quarterback just gets out of bounds. But he's a tough kid, and he's going to try to get every yard he can get.
And he's a senior.
No, Trevor's a junior.
Junior, okay.
Yeah. So you got Riley a senior, Trevor a junior, and Zach a sophomore, all competing. So it's going to be good. Greg Lavely. Greg's at safety right here. He'll play corner and safety, but he makes a good open field tackle there. Closes on the ball, reads it quick and closes.
Greg played but did not start last
That's
year.
Right. That's right. Played safety. We're using him at safety and corner right now. This is the defense goal line stand here. We live quarter, of course. You know, we thought we'd turn it over and give them the football down there close on the live quarter, our first possession, and then we held them out right here. I believe that's fourth down. Held them out. And then on our next possession, from deep in our territory, we didn't get a first and had a negative 4-yard punt. So that's when they end up scoring in the live quarter.
So here's the goal line stand.
Still the goal line stand, yeah, I guess. They made some good plays. That's just part of it. You know, we're going to make mistakes, and the other side of the ball or special team, somebody, that's why they call it a football team, is because they don't spend their time griping because the offense turned it over or had a bad punt on the punt team. They just bow their necks up and say, hey, we're not letting them in. And that's it right there.
That's good stuff. And again, the scrimmage went well for the Red Raiders. Injury-wise, get out of it pretty clean?
Yeah, pretty healthy. We got, you know, Tristan Taylor had a twisted ankle that we'll know on him today, but I think he'll be fine. And
He's
really,
your starting nose tackle too, right?
Yes, yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And just some bumps and bruises. Tyron Larry, we'll see where he is today. And that's really why we kind of shut it off after that one quarter, because he had lost one of his running backs, you know, and thought it was going to be a pretty bad injury. And so, you know, none of us want to come out of a scrimmage not having guys for that first game.
Now you have made an offensive change this year. Tried some of it. You tried it a little bit last year, the spread, didn't you, son?
Yeah.
But you pretty much decided to go with it.
Yeah,
this year, right?
it's once you jump in, you better jump all the way in.
Right.
You know, kind of like that water when you're getting in that pool. If you just dip your toe in there, it's cold. You get all the way in. So we've gone to it. It's what everybody's doing. The reason they're doing it is just get you guys in space all the way back to the time you and I were playing football, which was a long time ago. They always said, hey, get you one-on-one with the defensive guy. You're going to take the offensive guy. You know, most of the time he better beat him, and that's what everybody's doing. They're just getting them out there in space. And we're starting to get some guys that we can put out in space and make things happen.
When they talk about the pistol, describe for folks when they, that the pistol look, because they hear that a lot.
Basically just the pistol, the tailback's lined up directly behind the quarterback, where your spread gun stuff, the tailback's offset beside the quarterback. And then the pistol, which puts you, Nevada guy invented it, it puts you you're balanced. You know, they don't know where you're going. You got two receivers on each side, and you got the quarterback, and you got the tailback directly behind him. So it doesn't tip your hat to the defense where you're going.
Now the cliche, the people see that and they say, well, they're going to throw every down if they're out of the shotgun. That's not necessarily true, is it?
No. What it does, it gives you the ability to spread the field, because now they got to defend the whole field. And yes, you can throw it all over the place off the edge and stuff, and you can get your inside receivers to football and jet sweeps and things of that nature. But you can still run the football, and that's the secret, is being able to run the football. That's going to open up. We're not going to throw it 70 times a game. We're going to run the football, but we're going to be more balanced than we were in the past.
The defense is still a 3-4 look, though, right?
Yeah. Same defense. That was part of the deal, getting Coach Curbo. We going to a new offense. We didn't want these kids to have to learn a total new offense and a total new defense all in the same session.
Right.
And so Coach Curbo luckily was a 3-4 guy, and we were able to keep pretty much the same stuff, maybe change a little bit of terminology.
Well, let's talk a little bit about scope, just in general terms, with about the 8 minutes that we have left, in general terms about the different sides of the football. Let's start with the offense, O-line. Give me an idea what's going to be up front there.
Well, we're going to have some size. You know, we got Bryson Parker. Right now we have Bryson Parker. We have William Holtz. Our left guard, Ryan Rendon, starting at left guard. Right now, Amir Wilson's at our left tackle. And
going both ways.
Yes, yeah. We're going to spot him. You know, that's the secret doing all that. The Weeks kid, Matthew Weeks, who could help us big time at that tackle. SMU commit already, or been offered by SMU. He's going to be really good. He had some knee surgery. We're going to get him back. He'll be ready for the first district game. So Amir's going to have to pull double duty, which is good. Shows the commitment by Amir to do whatever it takes to be successful. You know, we got Antron Henry in the mix backing up. So our O-line's going to have some depth. You know, really we got 9 or 10 that we don't fall off that much when they step in. And so we're excited about them off the edge on the receivers. Of course, we got Bryce Wilkerson, Marquiston Williams on the inside. You know, we're going to cross some guys over. Greg Lavely from the defensive side. The Deaver kid on the defensive side will start crossing over eventually and use those guys on offense also. On the outside, we've got Avery Clueless, Paxton Potter on the left. We got DeAndre Allen. We got some guys that are going to mix in there. We're going to cross over Ajuan Barker, sophomore kid that's playing safety. He'll have to cross over some because he's a great receiver. You know, not scared to go across the middle and catch the football. So we're going to have to use him. Of course, at the running back, we've got Smiley, Tavon Wesley. Of course, we've got Marquand Jones, the Banks kid. Keywan Johnson's going to be in the mix. So we got quite a few guys on that side. And
defensively, again, the 3-4, a little bit of veteran presence coming back. You mentioned Tristan Taylor earlier. Let's start with the guys up front.
You got Tristan, you got Edom, Asanansi. Both of those guys played a lot last year. At the defensive end, you saw John Samples up there. We got Sean Matthews, who played a linebacker last year. When he came in, he's put his hand on the ground now. Got a kid that's hadn't played since his freshman year, basketballer J.J. Barron. J.J.'s big, strong, physical kid that's going to make some noise there. And then you go to your linebackers. You got Derman that played last year a lot. We took Gaines that played inside last year and moved him to the outside linebacker. So you got Joshua Bice, you've got Jawan Banks. They're all competing for that inside spot. Chase Sharp, a kid we had at safety last year, dropped him down. When you get out to the outside linebackers, of course, you got Teddy Matlock back from last year, Desmond Dunn, and then the Gaines kid we moved out there. Ali Ayez has moved out there. So you got 4 guys out there that'll be capable. Moving out to the corner positions, you got Patrick Crowder. Of course, we're using Lavely out there. You got the younger guys, Jared Tatum, Cameron Price, that'll all be in the mix. I'm sure I'm leaving one of those guys out, and they'll be mad at me. At the safety position, we're going to be pretty young. We've got Ajuan Barker and the Devers kid. That'll probably be the top 2 right now. And then, of course, we got Lavely crossing over. We got some other kids we're working there at the safety spot. Try to find depth is the biggest thing.
Who's your kickers?
Well, right now we got Chris Bloss. We got Andy Martinez, probably the top 2 battling.
For the kicking job.
For the kicking job. The punting job, we're going to do something a little different after the other night.
Just go for it on 4th down every time.
Well, we can't have negative 4-yard punts, and so we'll be working really hard on that again today. But
so we don't know who the punter is yet, huh?
well, yeah, you'll see him on Friday. But
thanks, Coach.
It'll
be a surprise.
It'll
right?
be a surprise to everybody. But yeah, we got Chris and Andy on the kicking. You know, they're going to be good. They're both young. Both of them. I think Andy's junior, Chris is sophomore. They both got good legs. They're going to be capable. They're not loomy, so that's what I got to get used to. Right now, they're not loomy. So when I watch them kick, I have to realize they're not loomy. And so really, they're going to be fine though. They're battling, competing. Again, we got 2 of them, so that's good to have some competition.
Well, that soccer program is always good to have around.
Always
isn't
good
it?
to find some soccer kids. Yes,
they can kick.
Yes.
Sulphur Springs beat you last year. It was your first game. I think it was 37-35, like double overtime. Mid-Row Stadium.
35-34.
35-34. Okay.
Single overtime. Somebody went for 2.
Who was that? Who did that?
That would be us. I'd do it again.
Yeah.
But we just at that time. I'm glad you brought that up. Now I can lose some more sleep tonight. But they, we sat there and ran up and down the field all night long, and you think you can get 3 yards when it's the time, and so it's trying to get those kids to learn last year that sometimes victory's sitting there and you got to go take it. Nobody's going to give it to you, and that's what we try to get this team to understand when we're conditioning and doing things like that. That the only person going to feel sorry for you is yourself. On Friday night, that guy over on the other side, he's not going to feel sorry for you. So, you better be man enough to stand up and take charge.
They've got a kid, I forget his name, but
Texas commit
playing quarterback and secondary.
Safety.
Right,
Yeah,
safety
he's playing
back
safety.
there.
Really, their 2 safeties are really good defensively, and of course offensively they do what they did last year. They're going to sit back there and just wear you out throwing the football, and they got a little tailback that's pretty quick and keep you honest on the run. But where they make their bread and butter is they throw the football so well and throw it on time.
I know that you don't try to hang too much on a non-district ball game, but it's been a number of years since Robert E. Lee won their first game, dating back to Coach Owens.
Yeah.
What would it mean to win that first game?
Well, it's going to mean a lot. I mean, that's all we've looked at so far. We hadn't looked down the road at anything. We're just getting ready for Sulphur, and Coach Owens is, of course, they're well coached. I mean, we watched their kids all weekend and looking at the film and their technique that they played defensively and stuff. They're well coached, and they're going to get after it, and they're not going to stop. Last year I think we fumbled they kicked a pooch kick and recovered it and went down and scored, and I think we fumbled one time, gave them the ball deep in our territory. So we can't do what we did last year and turn the ball over and things like that, to be able to compete where we need to be. But they're going to be a good opponent.
But you need to win. To establish winning, you got to win one of those.
You got to, it's hard to establish a winning attitude if you
don't
keep
win,
losing.
Right?
Yeah, just like, you create bad habits. When you continue to lose, you create bad habits. So winning's going to create good habits.
Talk a little bit about, in the last minute that we have, just general feelings going into this season, the excitement of high school football starting up once again.
Well, really, it's just exciting when you've been down. I think we've won 4 games in 3 years. So when you've been down, it's exciting to know that, hey, this is the first step to getting this thing back where Coach Owens and those guys had it back in 04 and then through there. So that's the good part, is that until we play a game, we can't take a step towards that, because it's just all been work behind the scenes getting ready for it. But Friday night when we step out there at 7:30 in Sulphur, that's our first step to getting back where we want to be.
There's been a lot of work put in these last few months too, hasn't there?
Really a whole bunch, going back to really starting last year, when we got here in the spring, and the group of kids last year, they worked their tails off and getting their minds right and all that's the biggest part.
All right, then again, it all starts up coming up Friday night. The game is a road game this year for the Red Raiders to start up at Sulphur Springs. That game will kick off at 7:30 on Friday night in Sulphur Springs. The radio broadcast on ESPN East Texas 92.1 FM. Again, the Red Raiders in Sulphur Springs coming up on Friday night, and then a week from Friday night, the first home game at the stadium against the Lufkin Panthers, who, by the way, take on John Tyler this week. So high school football season is here, and, these two teams, both the Red Raiders and the Lions, as a matter of fact, deserve your support, deserve and need your support. We look forward to being back this time next week with Coach Piske on Coach's Corner. I'm Bill Coates. Thanks for joining us.